Street Fighter has recently had some drama regarding crack, and I don't mean the drug, but actually the cracked beta, which kind of in the same sense gives the user a competitive advantage. A lot of you probably don't know what I'm talking about, so I'll start from the beginning. Street Fighter 6 is a new Street Fighter title that is releasing next year, June 2nd, 2023. And of course, since the game is releasing next year, they started running closed beta tests for the game. The first one ran on October 7th to 10th on PS5, Xbox Series X, and Steam, featuring 8 characters, online matches, trading mode, and more. And less than 2 weeks later, the Street Fighter 6 closed beta got cracked. And what does that mean? It means basically modders found a way to access the beta beyond the beta period and use the training mode for those 8 characters. And actually, I believe they had a way to emulate a versus mode so that you could just basically play that version of the game locally. So while Capcom intended the game to only be played for 3 days, for 72 hours, people were able to play it for much longer than that. And once that news came out, people talked about it for a little bit, but it wasn't until this past weekend during the second closed beta test that there actually was quite a bit of drama about the cracked beta. The beta ran from Friday to Sunday, December 16th to the 18th, and this was the first basically big tournament during the beta. It was held by IFC Yipes, and it featured a prize pool of over $500. The bracket went on, as brackets go, and the placements ended up with me in third, Vagabond in second, and Chris T in first place. You can see him finishing up the tournament with an air-to-air, a block on the Ryu Super, and an optimal punish against Vagabond for a clean 3-0 in grand finals. And with that, Christopher Tartarian tweeted LFG with a fire emoji and said, "Took first at the can opener tournament. GG's to everyone I played. Shoutouts to Yipes for the tournament." And the reason this was controversial, of course, was that Chris T was one of the known players that had been playing the Street Fighter 6 cracked beta. So while most of the players had just played for 72 hours the previous beta, and then one day before this tournament, Chris T, along with other people playing the cracked beta, had been playing it for about 2 months. We can't say for sure how long they were playing, but they had access to the game that entire time. Here's a tweet from Punk. He was very vocal about being unhappy with Chris's behavior. This tweet: "Dead not it, ain't no LFG, you knew you were winning." Regarding the advantage that Chris had obtained by playing the cracked beta. This went on with Chris showing a clip where Punk has the cracked beta installed, saying that he is a hypocrite. But Punk basically responds that he had it installed but never played it, which I actually believe. You can choose whether or not you want to believe it or not. But it kind of shows clearly in his gameplay that he is not very experienced with the game. It seemed like that was all of the drama that we were going to get for the weekend. Punk a little bit unhappy that Chris was entering a $500 tournament and keeping the winnings, even though he had an advantage over his competitive field. But in comes the LI Street Fighter 6 beta beatdown hosted by LI Joe on Sunday, and it started with a prize pool of $500 just like the can opener one did, but it actually got to $2,530 with donations through Matcherino. And you can see the top 3 payouts: 70%, 20%, 10%. So first place walked away with around $1,750. And the tournament comes and goes. Knuckle-Doo in third place, I get second place, and Chris T takes the tournament. Here are the final moments of the tournament. He has me in the corner. Nice little stand leg kick into drive rush for a combo into the CA, and eventually gets me with a shimmy in the follow-up moments, taking home the tournament. There it is. And from Chris Tatarian, we get another tweet in celebration. 4 out of 4, more GGs, more fire emojis, future looking bright for Street Fighter 6. So first I'll give my thoughts, and then we'll kind of go through everyone's thoughts so that we get a balanced view of the whole drama of the whole situation. I think it's perfectly okay for people that play the cracked beta to play in these tournaments. I think there's no problem with showing off the tech. I think that's like how we all improve at the game, and it's cool to see the game maximized to its fullest potential. If I had put in time into the cracked beta as Chris T did and a lot of other players did, I would still enter the tournaments for fun, for the content, to train the game, show off all the tech that I had. But if I won any prize money, like, I can't accept that as a competitor, considering I'm way more experienced with the game than most of the people in the tournament, and I'm basically not playing the same game as them. So here's a tweet from RobTV. I think he shares pretty much the same view as me. First, he says, I genuinely don't think it matters who wins beta tournaments. It's not that serious. IMO, all fun unless there's good bread on the line, which I doubt since it's a beta tournament, which I agree with. If there wasn't much money on the line, then it's just for fun to show off the game, show off all the tech that you had, and at the end of the day, no one cares who's the best at the beta, right? As it is just a beta tournament. But of course, as I just showed you, there was quite a bit of money, $2,000 and more for the L.I. Joe tournament, $2,500 in total. And Rob responded, that tournament crosses into the understandable salt realm then. Getting finessed out of that much is messed up. Here is a clip from Punk, who, you know, was the most vocally upset out of everyone over the whole beta. This kind of sums up his rant over his whole stream.
And y'all broke. If you playing the beta trying to steal the money from motherfuckers who trying to play fair and win, even though dude playing Guile and the character's just not fair and they feel like he played the crack beta even though I know he didn't. You take him trying to take money from motherfucker like him, bro. He got a daughter. He got a daughter out here to feed and shit. And you got motherfuckers like Chris T playing the crack beta living.
And I don't mean for this to be one-sided. I really want to see both sides of the situation. That's kind of how you get around conflicts like these. And I do think it is actually a pretty gray area regarding what Chris did with the cracked beta. So here is a conversation that he had with Chris G on Chris G's stream. Tune in for a much needed conversation regarding everything that's been happening the past few days on FGC Twitter. And it really wasn't much of a conversation per se, since I think everyone in this call agreed with Chris T's perspective. I'd really like to see a call maybe with like Rob and Chris T to try and flesh out all the details and get some conflicting perspectives talked out. First, here is Chris asking how much time exactly has Chris T put into the game.
Obviously, the first official question is, have you been playing the crack beta? And if so, have you actually been playing hundreds of hours?
Honestly, man, like, I think it's not a big deal as what people began making it into. Like, it was well known that everybody had access to the beta, and people were acting like I was inputting Grand Theft Auto cheat codes with Ken in the tournament.
So Chris doesn't really give a clear answer saying how much he played. If I had to guess, it would probably be in the hundreds of hours, considering in 2 weekends of play, I actually got up to 70 hours myself. And I would guess he's probably been playing like an average of at least like 1 hour a day for the past month or two. So that would add another 30 to 60 hours on top of that, but that's probably a conservative estimate. And here is another question that Chris G is asking: what Chris T thinks about the unfair advantage that people are saying that he has.
How do you feel, right, with people saying that you had an unfair advantage? What do you think about that?
I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like people were just saying anything at that point in order to not be upset. Like, you know how sometimes you give yourself comfort logic after you lose a tournament? Every stream was practically, oh, this is just a beta, we're all having fun, blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's just a beta. We're here to show off what Street Fighter 6 could potentially look like. Like, it's a good thing that people are showcasing how sick this game is already. It went from it being like a fun thing to just this complete different type of energy that was being thrown on there.
So I think I can confidently say the reason for the switch up that Chris G is talking about is because of these right here, $500 and $2,500 that he took the lion's share of. So I think Chris's main points basically are that he didn't have a huge competitive advantage. number one, and number two, that it wasn't a big deal that he had that advantage, as it's just a beta tournament for fun. To number one, I say he did have a really big competitive advantage. You know, even if he only played like 1 hour a day for those 2 months and only really doubled his time playing the game, which is still a really large amount of time. And, you know, he doesn't have crazy combos or tech. He doesn't have like the Grand Theft Auto cheat codes he was talking about. Having that much time with the game allows you to have the game mechanics like really settle in your mind with how you want to use them a lot better than other players can. You could see how comfortable Chris T was with his drive meter, with his drive impacts, with his drive rushes to burn you out, and just overall not dropping very many combos. Here is a clip which kind of shows how comfortable he clearly is with the drive system. So he gets a punish on my dive kick right here, and right here I go for a drive rush off the crouch medium kick. He gets a perfect parry into a fully optimized combo. He was clearly completely ready for the perfect parry into the full combo. I really would not have expected anyone with only 2 weekends of experience to really be able to do this on a match point tournament kind of scenario. And in regards to it not being a big deal, in regards to the amount of money,
$1,000 off of those wins. Like, I didn't win Capcom Cup, bro. I won a little bit of money.
Chris says he won a little bit of money. I think that's debatable to a lot of people. But to be clear on my stance, I do think it's kind of weird that Chris did have this advantage and chose to enter the tournaments and take the money. But I don't actually think it was wrong per se, since it was never against the rules to have played the cracked beta. From what I could tell, none of the TOs actually explicitly said that people that couldn't play the cracked beta could enter, and people donating for the most part did know. The people that were donating to the match arenas for the most part did know that people were playing the cracked beta to begin with. So, you know, most of this pot, people knew what they were donating into, what kind of tournament this was, who was entered into it. Not all of it. I'm sure there were some people that didn't know, but I think the majority of people knew when they donated into this pool. Here is Joe's perspective. He was the TO for the tourney with the prize pool that got to $2,500. I totally get you and the concern, but the point is, it is impossible to police at this point whether people were playing the cracked beta. I assure that places have the game to play. How does one police this from an event or company standpoint? This is why I made it a point to make sure the event was free. So, you know, as a competitor, I can't really be mad considering the TOs are okay with people having played the cracked beta, and the donations are coming from people that have the knowledge of people playing the cracked beta. I think in the future some tournaments could at least say that it's against the rules for someone to have played the crack, but I agree that it is impossible to police. Which brings us to the future. What's it going to look like when the game comes out and people have been playing the cracked beta for 8 months, and people have been playing the cracked beta from October all the way to June, which is almost 8 months. If the game continues like this and, you know, we get a couple more closed betas and the game launches in June, those people with the cracked beta gameplay experience will have a huge advantage for at least a month, I would say. So from like June to July, for the 8 characters in the cracked beta, they will know pretty much everything there is to know about them. So this is going to matter for all of the initial launch online tournaments that are definitely going to happen with pretty big prize pools. If a beta could get a $2,500 prize pool, there will definitely be launch tournaments that get that much as well. And there is a major that typically happens at the end of June, being CEO. You can see CEO 2023, one of the biggest tournaments in the world. I think pretty much second biggest, actually, right behind Evo. Happens June 23rd to 25th, just a couple of weeks after the launch date of Street Fighter 6. I think by the time Evo rolls around August, it's normally in the beginning of August, that advantage will mostly have disappeared, but it will still probably slightly be there in some capacity. So, you know, it's overall just not a great situation. People playing the cracked beta. I didn't mean to only talk about Christie. There were actually a lot of people playing the cracked beta that played in those tournaments. I know at least 3 other players in this bracket played the cracked beta as well, so there were definitely a lot of players playing it. So it's definitely a bigger problem than any single player, any single person. You know, Chris T is just kind of the example since he was the main guy winning everything in the beta. But yeah, overall it's just a bad situation considering the beta got cracked. And the more people that play the cracked beta, the more people that are going to get pressured into thinking that they need to play the cracked beta in order to succeed at the launch of the game. What I'm hopeful is that maybe Capcom, maybe the Street Fighter devs do launch an open beta that lasts for a decent amount of time before the game's launch, because then we could kind of level the playing field so that we don't have to be in this situation at launch where we have to think about whether our opponents have played the cracked beta or not. That's just not a really great situation to be in. But yeah, that's pretty much all of my thoughts on this crack situation for Street Fighter 6. A little bit of a negative video, I would say, since, you know, it's a kind of negative situation, but I'm really excited for Street Fighter 6. The game, playing the closed beta was super fun. Even playing in those tournaments, I had like a really fun time playing this game in a competitive environment, and I look forward to when the game comes out. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of this whole crack drama, what you think of Street Fighter 6 even, and leave a like down below, leave a subscribe down, hit that red button. 70% of you that watch the channel are not subscribed. I'll see you in the next one.